Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm picking up on the energy of someone who can't get you out of their head. I feel like you left a really deep impression on someone, or maybe you only saw them in passing, or maybe you did spend some sort of time with them, and I feel like you didn't fully realize the depth of how much you would stick with this person, but they have had you on their mind quite a lot recently, so let's get into this energy. All right, the Queen of Swords. So I think they see you as someone who is extraordinarily decisive, of like you are someone who really knows what you want. I feel like you're someone who is not so like wishy-washy of being like, oh, I'll go along with anything. It's more like you know exactly what you want and you'll do what it takes to get it. And I feel like this is something that is very attractive about you because it is this feeling of giving this person a standard to rise up to in a sense, where it's like maybe in previous engagements, this person had almost been a little bit confused about what the other person was looking for from them, and it almost had this kind of unguided or blurry quality to it. But I feel like because you are such a sharp, decisive person, you've given this person a very specific standard to raise up to, and it might not even be something that you expressed verbally of like, this is the standards I'm looking for in a person that I spend my time with. It's more like just there's something about you that demonstrates exactly what you're looking for. And I feel like it's because you have this really central core or this aspect of consistency about you when it comes to a certain standard of behavior or certain virtues that you hold to be important, where you're not necessarily expressing something one moment and then the next moment you're expressing something contradictory. It's almost as if all the virtues that you hold you are fully aligned with, and you really maintain this alignment in any interaction or in any aspect of a conversation. Right, then we're getting the King of Swords. Okay, so I feel like this person wants to be your counterpart in a way where I feel like they also know what they want. And I feel like what they want is you. And there is the sense of this person wanting to collaborate on some very mental level in a way of like seeing you as an intellectual counterpart is what I'm getting. And there is this feeling of this person like wanting to be two very separate individual entities, yet also respecting this collaborative quality. So I feel like there is this sense of like, like being on each other's level or meeting each other's match in a way, where I feel like this person really recognizes you as someone who is at a very high standard, and it's like a standard that they want to also be placed at in your evaluation of them. All right, so we have the Tower. Okay, so I feel like there's this sense of like maybe you caused a tower to fall in this person's life, or maybe there was some tower that fell in your life as well leading up to this connection. But the sense I'm getting is that maybe this person had a certain approach to interpersonal relationships or dealings in romance that had all gone a certain way before, or they had kind of maybe clinged on to some sort of notion of romance. Maybe there was some way of being in a relationship, or maybe a specific person they were in a relationship with that they had really clung on to, and kind of imagining that all future relationships would be like that, or something relating to that quality, or like this relating to men and women, whatever gender that either two of you are. But like I feel like there was this strong sense of having some sort of complex or issue in relation to the opposite sex or to the same sex that existed within this person. But I feel like that's something that shattered when they encountered you or got close to you, where it's this feeling of like preconceived notions falling or something being dethroned, this image of what the perfect partner would look like to them. But I feel like this was completely dethroned or shattered when they encountered you, because I think they then recognized you to be a more perfect representation than the thing that they had been picturing. Because this thing that they had been picturing was this kind of false conception that was maybe built up through some sort of societal standards, or something that maybe their parents had taught them, or something they had seen in media. And these were all these like limited representations of what the true actual quality that they were looking for really was. And I feel like you're someone who embodied this true quality in a way that they had never seen embodied in the physical world before ever. So it was like reaching deeper into this person, onto this like this inner feminine or masculine image that they had actually never encountered in reality before, so that they could not picture it in their mind's eye. But it was something that was embedded much deeper within them. And it's like the sense that I'm getting is like ancestral lines of like this universal archetypal image that exists within every person. And I feel like this was something you embodied in a way that they had never seen before. Right, the Wheel of Fortune. So I feel like there is this sense of like, yeah, similar to the Tower, there's this feeling of like something being shaken into them, almost where like they had kind of predicted their life going a certain way, where I feel like this person had a very small conception of what life could be like, of this feeling of not feeling very inspired or the sense of purposelessness. But I feel like in some ways you almost demonstrated to them that the Wheel of Fortune could turn for them. In the sense of, I feel like a lot of people are told like the world is out to get you, or like there's no place for you in the world, or you're very much doomed to being on this hamster wheel existence of just working a very menial job and having no passion for life, and just kind of, yeah, like a dead end kind of vibe is what I'm getting. And I feel like this person had almost accepted this way of existing in the world until they met you, because I feel like you embodied something that related more to this Wheel of Fortune of like these infinite possibilities and this tapping into this deeper knowledge that again is embedded within all of us, but it really takes some sort of concerted effort or maybe some latent abilities to fully tap into. And I feel like you're someone who almost has like this contagious quality about you, where because you're so tapped into these deeper qualities or these sort of powers that exist within people, that you're able to point them to exactly what their power is in a way, where it's like something that you perceive in yourself and then you perceive it in others, and you notice that when others are not perceiving it in themselves, it's like you turn their eyes towards it, and when you make them look into their own light, it just wakes them up in a way that they had never perceived previously. So I feel like this is something you did to this person, and it's like it's almost made them feel like they've needed to like go back to the drawing board, is the sense I'm getting, or like hit the books, of like go back to a period of intense study or work on themselves, where I feel like most of us, we go to school for however many years, right? And then when people graduate, they tend to stop learning. So it's almost like this feeling of like being in school for 18 years or however long, and then being cut short, and it's almost like people get frozen at that exact point in time and nothing in them changes after that, and it is a feeling of stagnation, or if like that's when the hamster wheel starts to turn. But I feel like you're someone who has maintained this feeling of study or of self-study beyond the period of formal education into something that has become like your life's work, or like the great work is something that you really value. And I feel like this is something you demonstrated to this other person of how exactly this great work could be worked at, or how this path could be traveled. And I feel like you have inspired this person to walk the path for themselves. But I feel like because of the fact that you are this kind of stand out different person who has maybe shaken some sense into this person in a way, I think they've developed some sort of almost obsessive quality towards you. All right, death. So this is very similar to what we were talking about here with the Tower as well. As like, I feel like you are a walking ego death to people in some ways, where the death card represents the death of the old king and the throning of a new one. And there is this feeling of like the sun rising on a new day. And so it's almost as if this person had been living through their ego previously and maybe had not even realized it. Like maybe they would not necessarily identify themselves as a particularly egotistical person, but I think they were still bound by some restrictions based in the ego. Like, for example, these feelings of things cannot be attained in my life because of the world we're living in. Like in 2026, it's too hard to be an artist. It's too hard to make money. It's too hard to be successful. You can't do what you really want in 2026. It's almost like this feeling of like being doomed to being on the hamster wheel because of some present ego-based condition. Or there's some people who maybe will say things because of like their parents forced them to be a certain way, or they'll say something like, my parents ruined my life, or something like that, where it's almost as if they were really tied to these ego experiences and used it to define themselves and define their future or their place in the world or who they could be. But I feel like you're someone who dethrones that old king, which is the ego, and brings light to the new king, which is the true representation of the self. And this is this feeling of like shaking some sense into people is really what I'm getting. Like it's almost like you grab them by the shoulders and shake them, of really showing them like, you do not need to relate to these ego-based qualities, and in fact your potential is much higher than you would have expected when you were living in ego. It's almost like you're unlocking this infinite potential in the people that you speak to. So I feel like with this person, like it has maybe almost caused some sort of crisis in their life, or just this new way of looking at the world, where I think that they have turned their eyes or turned their focus towards something a little bit different than they were working on previous to having met you. And it's almost like they associate this feeling of this ego death or of this throning of the true self with their interactions with you, because you were the one who started this chain reaction in them. So the sense that I'm getting is like it's almost as if like once you have started this chain reaction in someone, it's like they almost always have this lasting soul tie towards you. And okay, this might sound like a little bit of a delusion of grandeur, but the sense I'm getting is like, it's almost like these people with these soul ties, it's almost like you can imagine a king who gets buried with all his servants and soldiers with the hopes of having all those servants and soldiers following him in the afterlife. And this is sort of the vibe that I'm getting. Is like whenever you wake someone up, they almost become your companion in a way of like always having this lasting respect or reverence for you. So there is like this sort of tie that is connected whenever you choose to shine the light or to point people's eyes towards their inner light. So let's look a little bit more about what the specific person is thinking about you right now. All right, so we have the King of Cups. So there's this sense of like, I think the person really sees you as the master of these intuitive gifts, where I feel like this person had some of these latent feelings within them in relation to this view of like what their place in the world was. But I feel like you were almost the master of understanding exactly what their purpose was. Like I feel like you're someone who is really able to look at someone of what they've built and how they exist in the world in their day-to-day presence, and just have a really strong understanding of what their purpose is, of like what kind of lifestyle would suit them or what kind of gifts they have to offer the world. And this could be like material gifts of like some sort of work of art that they're producing, or just their like intuitive gifts of like how they can relate to people in the moment. But I feel like it's like, yeah, you're someone who sees people's superpower, and it's almost like you bring it out in them by helping them see it too. So I feel like this person really sees you as that, as someone who's very intuitive, who really picks up on these subtle signals of what exactly their place is in the world. So I feel like you're just someone who is really perceptive, and I think that's how this person sees you. And like I do think they see you as the king in some ways, where I feel like they see you as the most intuitive person that they have ever had some sort of relationship with. All right, and the Two of Swords. So I feel like in some ways this person is almost like a little bit caught up in making a decision, or maybe this could go both ways of like maybe you're caught up in making a decision as well, where it's this feeling of going between these two worlds of like the thought and then the more intuitive qualities, but it's also about like which ways that this relationship could develop. And I feel like maybe you're both kind of at this like turning point or questioning feeling, where maybe there is on some level this kind of mutual interest. Although I feel like on this person's side, it's like closer to like an obsession or fixation. Whereas for you, it's more like a passing interest of like you kind of like this person in a sense, like you have some element of goodwill towards them, but it's not like you're obsessed or fixated on them in the same way that you might have become with other people in the past. But the sense that I'm getting is it's almost like this feeling of like not being sure how this relationship should develop. And of course the guidance that one is given on this topic is like that relationships take time to grow. It's not like you can actually decide this from the outset. It's like something that will develop over time through intuition, and it's not something you can choose on a mental level. So there's really no way to know how this relationship can develop, like whether it be something more platonic, romantic, or business related. But I do get the sense that this person might be identifying more with the mind at this point in time still, where I feel like you introduce some sort of like temporary ego death to them, but it's not like this has had like a fully lasting effect. So I feel like there's still the type of person who gets caught up in their thoughts of feeling the need to make a decision. So I feel like this person is like, right now what they're thinking is basically like, what is the next move that I should be making, or like how should I take this relationship to the next level. And I feel like this is something that this person is kind of caught up in, of being like a little bit confused about how they should approach you, rather than this feeling of this understanding that you already have of just knowing that you need to spend some time together and kind of see where things go, where it doesn't need to be anything like formally defined of like, is this platonic, is this romantic, is this business, but simply spending a few hours in each other's energy and having some sort of conversation or energetic exchange change, and then seeing what develops out of this relationship. Because the sense that I'm getting is that this relationship is something that is of a higher level than any sort of surface level interpersonal relationship. Like, I am really getting this kind of soul tie feeling, or this like spiritual connection, where I feel like you are meant to affect some change in each other's lives, or like something relating to your life's purpose or to your great work, where it's almost like the sense I'm getting is like a main character, or like joining a party in an RPG, where it's like this person has some value to your life story, or like they have a really important role to play, but I feel like you're not able to know what that role is from the outset. Like I mentioned, it's something that needs to develop over time, but I think there is this really strong recognition that you both have to play some sort of important role in each other's lives. All right, so we have the Two of Wands coming out. So there is this feeling of like, yeah, like seeing the globe, seeing the whole world, and this kind of reminds me also of like the Wheel of Fortune card, of just like endless opportunities, or like conquering the world, or like this feeling of like not being sure exactly what your purpose is, but understanding that you have an infinite power when it comes to exerting your purpose. So I feel like this is kind of the energy that both of you are in right now, but I feel like you're both apart in some ways. Like, I feel like this is not the type of like all-consuming relationship where you're always in touch or talking to each other, but I feel like there is some like lingering energy. Like, as you can see in this card, it's the sole figure holding onto a wand and looking out at the globe, but then there's another wand upright behind him. So the sense that I'm getting is that this is kind of what represents both of your energies, is that you both have your own ambitions and purpose in the world, but it's almost like this person is just like one pole behind you, and I feel like it's like there's probably like a lot more poles in the distance. Like, even if you look at this card, it's almost like it's like it seems as if it could be a recurring motif going along the walls of this outlook. So the sense that I'm getting is that there's a lot of people in your life who have some relation to your life's purpose or towards your great work. And this is just one of the people who is involved with that. So that's why if you feel any sort of strong energetic tie to this person, that's why. But I don't get the sense that this is a relationship of this being like your divine counterpart or anything like that. It's more like this is just a person who is playing a role in your life. But at the same time, I do think that right now, maybe more on the ego level, this person is having some sort of obsessive feelings towards you. So let's pull some cards and get some guidance on that. Okay, we have the Two of Pentacles. So this is this feeling of energetic exchange, and of this kind of infinite energetic exchange of like kind of being able to pour into each other without necessarily losing anything from yourself. But it's almost as if by recognizing this other person's true self, or their true nature, or their life's purpose, it's like you're feeding into that. And then likewise, when they do this to you, it's like feeding into your power in a way without necessarily negating either person's power. And I also think that with this infinite choice feeling, I feel like there is this sense of like this person kind of sees you as an option, perhaps for many different roles in their life. Like, this person could be looking at you as a best friend, or a business partner, or as a romantic prospect. And it's almost like this infinite sense of like you could be anything to this person, and it's almost like they're trying to make a decision about it, or like that you have such infinite potential that you really could like play a large role in this person's life. And it's like this kind of spectrum is sort of in motion right now. Like, the sense I'm getting is like in a video game where you have to hit the slider at a certain point, and it goes back and forth, and you have to hit it when it's over the green bar. And so that's kind of the sense that I'm getting, is you're kind of sliding back and forth, and it's like this feeling of like, where do you want to freeze that relationship, of like, what do you want it to be? And I feel like that's kind of where you're both at. I think specifically this other person is kind of trying to figure out how to seize that moment. Alright, with the Seven of Swords, okay, I feel like this is someone who's like almost like getting away with something, where I feel like this person sees you as like gold, or like as the prize, and it's almost like a hidden gem is what I'm getting, is they almost feel like they could kind of take you away, like they almost want to steal you away from the world and have you all to themselves, because I think they realize that you do have this power of like this magic touch about you, where like I mentioned, you are kind of like this walking ego death, or like everything you touch kind of turns to gold in a way, or like anyone that you choose to pour your energy into becomes leveled up on this like really deep spiritual level of being more connected to their life's purpose, of feeling more confident in themselves, and being able to detach from any sort of ego related concerns. So I think this person understands that like if you devoted your energy towards them fully, or just like gave them a lot of your energy, that they would become very powerful. So there is almost this scheme and quality of like trying to figure out how to get you alone or like spend a lot of time with you, because I think they're kind of understanding like they really want your magic touch in a way. Okay, the Ace of Cups. So there is this feeling of there kind of being like some sort of overflow, and I think this is in particular like relation to your feminine energy, and I feel like this could be something like a little bit yonic perhaps, of like this person really sees you as a sort of like overflowing fountain, like I mentioned, this sense of infinite energy, or like wanting to tap into that. And I feel like it's like they want to tap into that on like a deeper, more emotional level, but also like on a physical level. Like I feel like they see you as someone who is like not so dry or frigid, but I think that they sense that this emotional energy that you've shared with them purely on the conversational level is something that would carry on to maybe a deeper, more sensual level as well. And I think that this is something they want to experience, because I think what this person is thinking about you is like, if this conversation is flowing in such a way that it has never flowed with anyone else before, and I'm getting so many deeper insights that I've never had before, and this person really witnesses me in a way that I've never felt, like how would it be if we went on that like more deeper intimate level? And I feel like this is something that really gets this person's mind going, and they're really wondering about what that could be like. Okay, the Three of Swords. So there is this feeling of like a heartbreak or some sort of stormy season where it's almost like I think this person sees you as a bit of a heartbreaker, where I think they understand that if they had placed their heart or their affection in your hands, it would almost be this very vulnerable situation for them. And of course it always is, but I feel like it's like you have the capacity to be even more of a heartbreaker than they ever would have imagined. Like I feel like right now in your present state, anyone that you're engaged with would see you as the one who got away if you had left their life, because the sense I'm getting is, like I mentioned, is like this magic touch that you bring to people that is really irreplaceable and not interchangeable whatsoever. So I think the sense that this person is getting is like, if they did go to that depths of really being able to drink from your fountain in this way, and that it would be like they would never be able to recover if this relationship wasn't to last. So the sense that I'm getting is this person is almost like avoiding any possibility of that, almost like to spare themselves to spare themselves the pain is what I'm getting. So I feel like if you can sense that there's someone in your energy who very much has some sort of strong romantic attraction to you, but they're not making a move, I think that this is why. And especially if you don't reciprocate any sort of feelings of romantic attraction to this person, I think that they're maybe able to pick up on that on a more intuitive level as well, of just understanding that maybe even if you have this kind of level of being counterparts, and especially on this intellectual level, that maybe on like this deeper, more romantic kind of divine counterpart level, I think you recognize that you're not quite right for each other in that way, but still these feelings are probably going to remain simply because you're such a catch. And so the sense that I'm getting is like, yeah, if there's someone who you can tell is very much romantically interested in you, but they're not making a move, I think it's because that they do not want to get their heart broken, and also because I think they would rather maintain this relationship with you and like see where it goes, and conquer the world together without necessarily going through any aspect of heartbreak or of like risking that emotional vulnerability, or maybe this understanding that these kind of romantic relationships that are not on a divine counterpart level are essentially ego based, and they don't really have any place in your connection if it's not on the level of divine counterpart. Okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So I feel like there's something of like something being brewed right now, where it's almost like I feel like, yeah, there's this energy between the two of you that is almost like birthed an egg, so to speak, where I feel like whenever you have this really strong connection to another person, and like I mentioned with this magic touch, like whenever you choose to exert this magic touch on another person and create this energetic exchange, it's as if an egg is being born from that, and what will hatch out of the egg remains to be seen. But there is this feeling of something being spawned from this connection that exists on this energetic level, but also in the world, apart from anything that you could consciously control. So it's almost as if these conversations that you're having with this person, or these actions that you might be guiding them to take, or just like thoughts that you might be creating in each other's heads, are then able to spawn some sort of new life in the world. And this could be something you're doing through your projects in a creative sense or in a business sense, but also just like in new sort of energies that are being born. And it's like, I'm getting the sense again of like a contagion where it's like maybe you have a really deep discussion with someone and it's almost like you arrive at this new pearl of insight with them. And then you go and you have a conversation with another person and you carry that same pearl of insight into that. And it's almost like this, communication of ideas, or like this propagation is what I'm getting, where it's like something that was born out of this initial relationship is then propagated through your other relationships and then is able to enact something in the world. Like it's almost like this kind of mimetic quality to these interpersonal relationships when they go beyond the level of just ego. All right, let's draw just one more card to figure out exactly what this person is feeling about you right now, or what type of things you can expect from this relationship in the future. All right, the Page of Cups. So I feel like this person is probably really excited to talk to you or deliver some sort of message to you. I feel like in your last interactions with this person, maybe you delivered them some sort of message, or you just had some sort of particularly generative conversation. And I feel like they're really excited to talk to you again because I think they arrived on some sort of insights on their own that would have been inspired by this interaction that they had with you. And I think they're just really excited to get back into that energy and share more with you, and maybe share the ways in which your interpersonal relationship or your energies or your insights have maybe changed something in their life materially or on a psychological or emotional level. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this reading or got some insights out of it. I'm running a special promotion until the end of this month where I will be doing 20-minute personalized readings for only $25 Canadian. If you're interested in picking up one of those readings, please email me using the email that is in my video description. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.